Welcome to the Workbench. I'm Doug. If you're fortunate to own a baby lock serger, then that means you're using it a lot. There could be a time where you may have a need to replace your cutting blade. So today I'm going to show you just how easy that is. And the good folks at Baby Lock are generous enough to provide you a spare cutting blade in your accessory tray. So if we open this up, you're going to find your blade in a small package here. So in case you haven't read, in the back of your instruction book, instructions are also included there. So let me show you how easy it is. First, remove your doors. Then I also like to raise the presser foot lever and detach the foot from the machine. And then with the straight blade screwdriver, we're going to remove the black locking screw, take the blade away, put the replacement back in, but there is an up and down adjustment. So let me show you that first. With your cutting blade engaged, rotating your hand wheel, you see how the blade will go up and come down. You also have what we refer to as your lower knife or your fixed blade. So it's stationary. And if you look closely, you'll see that there's a dark carbide tip on this blade. Sometimes I've seen customers even accidentally stitch over needles and pins and not have a problem with this. Okay, but the moving blade is the softer of the two, and it's the one that you can replace yourself. It's just that when you rotate your hand wheel and you watch the knife blade moving, it comes down and just covers on this angle about 1 to 1.5 millimeter of that fixed blade. So you can almost use that as a reference here for your height. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the screw and the fixed blade, and you see that it's spring loaded so that if you were to hit that pin, it would escape away. So while taking the screw out, it helps to hold on to the knife itself, so it just doesn't drop into the machine. Okay, now let's just take a gander at this one, see how it looks. This is a fairly newer serger, so there's not a lot of bite marks on it. But if you look at yours and see that the bottom cutting edge is very shiny, or if you've accidentally cut over a couple pins, you may even see little nicks within the blade. That's your indication you should replace it, especially if you're experiencing fraying their fabric or having a trouble with some of their thicker, heavier fabrics. One way for a visual inspection is just looking from the left side of the moving blade. The more shine you see on that cutting edge, or maybe nicks or burrs, that's an indication that you might need to replace it. Okay, so just remove the cutting blade from your pouch. When we take a look at this, on the cutting edge, you see that it all looks the same, unlike the worn edge we saw earlier. So when we remount this, because of the spring action that's within it, it helps to start the screw within the knife blade. And then you would line up the hole in the bottom to attach your screw. Now I like to give it a few turns with my fingers first. And then take your screwdriver and rotate it, but not all the way. If you feel that it's become tight, loosen it up just a tad. Then with your screw a little bit loose, you have some up and down play. But if you can look here and you see a shiny area exposed on the knife holder, then it might be a little bit too high. You're also going to see a little gap above the screw. So what we want to try to do is line up the bottom of the knife with the position of the bottom of the holder. What you want to do is just lift this up, and then you can raise this up and down. So what we want to see is the bottom of the knife lined up with the bottom of the knife holder. And then tighten your screw. And then what we want to do is remember what we mentioned at the beginning, is that when you're cutting blade on a serger, because it's angled, you want to rotate the hand wheel and ensure that when the knife comes down, it crosses the knife blade slightly, and you can almost use the upper portion of the blade as a reference for that. If you were to position your knife too low, it's not going to come up high enough for your heavier fabrics. If you position a knife too high, it may not cut a long enough stroke for that 4mm stitch length that's available on our sergers. So if you notice that your knife blade is not cutting like it used to, a simple replacement could make your day. So now that you know, get out and serge.